After the gala at 3:13 a.m., the mirror knew too much. I'm not jealous of bodies, I'm jealous of angles. Bodies tell the truth if you stop staging them. Angles decide which truth gets to arrive. At 3:13 a.m., the hotel bathroom mirror was a set piece that refused to remember its lines. I leaned my forehead to the glass and watched a fog bloom around my name. Behind me, in the reflection, Adrian's tuxedo hung from the shower rod like a very polite confession. On the counter, a pale blue program from the gala curled at the corners, as if it had been taking notes in the dark. Miles had told me to meet him at the ballroom for fundraising dressed as theater, his phrase for a party that pretends to be professional. The invitation said masks optional and mercy improbable. I wore the one tux I own and brought the one face I respect. He came as himself, which is the kind of risk I always forgive. We found each other a little after midnight under chandeliers that liked themselves too much. Adrian was already there. If cities had patron saints, Adrian would be the one for situations with just a drink in them. He hugged Miles the way mirrors do, accurately without shame. He kissed my cheek as if we had rehearsed it and I had missed my cue. He tasted like citrus and a better idea. He said the words "Encore bar on the 17th" with the mouth of someone who has never had to prove a noun. Miles laughed with his head tilted, which is his tell when he wants to be forgiven before the plot starts. The band played something expensive. Donors moved like chess pieces. We drifted from applause to laughter to small talk with the kind of grace you cultivate when you've practiced being interesting. At the top of the hour, the masks came off, which felt like a metaphor trying too hard. Miles stood with Adrian and a glass that broke up the light into excuses. Their shoulders made the wrong kind of geometry. I could have left. I didn't. Adrian asked if we wanted to see the suite the theater had comped him for the weekend, as if it were a puppy that needed walking. Miles said yes because men love windows that make the river volunteer to be forgiven. I said yes because saying no is a skill I keep forgetting to practice. The elevator ride up was quiet except for the neon performing its dignity against the glass. Adrian watched us in the mirrored paneling like a director at work. Room 1704 was the argument good lighting makes against conscience. The couch posed. The bed smoothed itself and waited. The bar on the counter had a card that said honor, which is a kind of joke in any language. Adrian put music on low, a piano that wanted to convince us it was neutral. He handed Miles a glass and handed me myself. He said he wanted to show us the view. We stood at the window as if we could teach the city how to look back politely. Miles' shoulder found mine, and the old muscle memory performed the duty it loves. Adrian stood a half step closer than advice. He smelled like lime peeling, like ritual. "You two always make the room dress better," Adrian said. He let it sit there like a dare. Miles laughed. I felt the kind of impatience that is really longing argue with my ribs. Adrian's hand landed against the back of Miles' neck and corrected a posture only intimacy coaches notice. I wanted to hate him for it. I wanted to learn how to do it better. The first kiss was a rumor. The second was a contract. Adrian kissed Miles because it had become less interesting not to. I didn't look away because I'm tired of doing bravery in the dark. Their mouths spoke a language I pretend not to understand. Quiet pain has a sound when you listen for it. Relief does too. Miles looked at me over Adrian's shoulder the way a man looks at the address he keeps mispronouncing. I stepped in because the room kept offering me my own mouth. I kissed Miles the way you put both hands on a door you own and remember how to open. Adrian watched like weather. He stepped back and let the window hold his reflection while he undid his cufflinks. He was generous, and I wanted to hate him more than that. We did not ruin the bed. We negotiated with it. We used the couch like a better version of honesty. Adrian's fingers were the kind of explicit that knows its limits. My thumb found the pulse at Miles' wrist because that's where faith keeps the spare key. He whispered something into my mouth that made a better case than any apology we've tried. Adrian laughed once, soft, unarmed, true. The room did what rooms do when you stop lying to it. It made the air belong. I'm not going to map the rest for a platform that thinks virtue should be louder than accuracy. You can have a belt that consented to retire, a shoulder with my mouth on it, a careful hand pinning a wrist without owning it, breath shared because oxygen likes to think it's the hero. You can have three men turning heat into a rehearsal for being gentler with what we'd be cruel to otherwise. After The View tried to sell us on redemption, the city below pretended to be legal. Miles lay with his head on my chest, which is his way of asking for the future. Adrian watched us from the chair like a man attending his own forgiveness. "You're better together," he said, not to be kind, but because precision is the one compliment he can't stop giving. "Don't make me like you," I told him. He smiled without teeth, which is his truest face. At 4:12 a.m., the sweet phone rang. "Front desk." "Confirming late checkout," the voice said. Adrian waved at me to answer, the way you hand a friend the punchline you can't deliver. I said yes to the hour and no to the name. The mirror in the bathroom knew too much and refused to look away while I washed my hands. We left separately because courtesy is the last trick you forget. Miles and I walked the last 6 blocks in silence, our shoulders practicing how to be a house again. At the apartment, the lock cleared its throat, and the plant in the window worked on its miracle of refusing to die. We stood in the kitchen under the dumb light and the wiser one beyond the glass. "I want to be boring with you," Miles said. "I want to make coffee too early and fold towels with opinions and argue about which fork we use for cake." "You cheated," I said, because I didn't want the word to think we didn't know its name. "With me there, with me watching, with me agreeing. I don't know what to call it." "Call it a scene we shouldn't have booked a room for," he said. "Call it choosing each other in a room that wanted credit. Call it not running." At noon, I took our shame to Matt because paperwork is how we stay employed by ourselves. He listened the way he always does, head tilted, rattle hunting, patience like a metronome. "You did the wrong thing with the right verbs," he said. "Now decide whether you want to be excellent or forgiven. One question only. Ask why or who, not both. Who will make you interesting? Why will make you married?" We added a line to the paper under the orange magnet because we are simple men who believe in props. If a room is going to learn our names, we teach them together or we don't teach at all. Miles wrote it. I underlined it like a man trying to put his weight on something he can carry. Adrian texted that evening, "No hospitals, right?" It is his brand of decency, the quick health check after the car crash you were both driving. I replied with a period. He sent back a self-portrait, a wrist with cufflinks undone, a city grateful for mourning. The caption read, "Good light." I hated him again. I liked him anyway. 2 weeks later, the world took attendance again. Our show opened with a kiss it had requisitioned from our life. The audience breathed for us and returned the air unharmed. After the curtain, in the chaos of congratulations that always feels like laundry, Adrian found us in the lobby and kissed both our cheeks the way theater thinks it invented blessing. He told us he was leaving for Lisbon to teach a class on breath and restraint. He raised his hand like a man who understands exits. "Be boring," he said, and for once he wasn't a liar. We were. The kettle sang at 7:05 every morning. I filmed the coffee and captioned it "Here," because religion is cheap and effective and comes with caffeine. Miles slid his hand into the frame and pressed his palm to mine without touching. "Here," he said. Sometimes after rehearsal we held each other on the couch and used our mouths to prove we could be kind without an audience. Sometimes we laughed at what we'd almost done, and sometimes we forgave what we had. The city still makes rooms that want to learn your names. The hotel still sends emails with polite alibis. The mirror still thinks it knows where to aim. If another night offers us good lighting and bad ideas, I hope I remember the handful of humiliating, useful acts that kept us almost honest. Put water on. Move the chair to the middle of the kitchen when words want to riot. Ask why before who. Hold the moment before contact and let it finish being the scene. Then wait for the lock's small throat clearing, like it's the first note in a song you can tune to. We didn't get away with anything. We stayed. We are still staying. The mirror knows too much and we let it. The hotel can keep its invoices and its river pretending to forgive. We'll keep being the address, or at worst the map that admits its misprints and still shows you how to get home.